same page.
Okay. Okay, well then,
Roll call.
thanks everybody for coming to the June 6th special called meeting. It was set up as a meeting for group health insurance only. It's morphed a little bit because there's also a change order involved with the home varies that we need to have board approval because we can no longer allow Curtis or staff to approve any change order of any amount. This was done for Dr. Lee's scenario. Then there's just two requests to submit applications for grants, and then the paratransit question. So Beverly, do you want to do roll call?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Chairman French,
Here?
Mr. Broker,
Here.
Mr. Ellis,
Here.
Dr. O'Halloran,
Here.
Mr. Durant, Ms. O'Dell,
He should be arriving.
Mr. Jones,
I'm here.
Mr. Lutakis,
Yeah.
Mr. Mingo.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, the first item on the agenda belongs to Seacrest.
Thank you so much. I am Terry Doyle. I'm with Sterling Seacrest Partners, and your broker for insurance on the benefits side. This is Janine Schmiede. She is also with Sterling Seacrest Partners. We have been the broker for CAT for several years, and we're going to go through the renewal process for this year, and the renewal is for July 1, 2018. So what do we do at Seacrest? We monitor CAT's insurance policies and procedures when it comes to all the benefit plans. We continue to meet with CAT throughout the year. We do quarterly financial reviews with the executive committee as well as meetings with the health and welfare committee. We do all the program marketing for all aspects of the insurance, and then we ask for quotes and RFPs. And then we take all those quotes and analyze them, negotiate, and then come up with recommendations that we supply to CAT, and then the CAT Executive Committee and Health and Wellness Committee puts together their recommendations. The medical plan summary: CAT has been with Blue Cross Blue Shield in excess of 25 years, and that does mean something when it comes to negotiating with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Seacrest negotiated a 10% decrease in 2017 that began at a 22%. This year we were able to get down to a 5% increase, down from 15%. We'll talk a little bit about how that happened. The market survey results, we compiled data and submitted RFPs to all available fully insured markets, which was Cigna, Aetna, Humana, and United Healthcare. United Healthcare came back with the most aggressive proposal. It was also at 5% increase over the current rates. While it was competitive, there were several plan differences that directly affected the out-of-pocket expenses of the CAT employees, which we didn't think was very viable. Humana's proposal overall was 16% higher than the current, and that equated to a 21.49% on the plan that has the most participation. So that was not a good proposal. Aetna declined to quote. They said they were uncompetitive looking at the renewal numbers. And then Cigna failed to respond, which Cigna's never been that competitive here in our local market. So that was understandable.
And they did respond back that they were also uncompetitive.
A lot of the carriers, once they see renewal rates and they look at loss ratios, they're saying, I can't beat this number, so we're going to withdraw and not going to quote. But when we talk about the competitiveness of the United Healthcare, it looked good until you get down into the weeds and start looking at the plan design. How's it going to affect the employees? The first thing was, in addition to deductibles and co-insurance, there was additional $500 deductible for any kind of an inpatient hospital visit. So in other words, you still have your deductible and co-insurance, but every time you went to the hospital, you had an additional $500 copay. That also applied to any outpatient hospital services, like if you had an outpatient surgery, you would pay this $500 copay, then it was subject to your deductible. And then they're in the major diagnostic and imaging services, such as CAT scans and those kind of things, they had it also this $500 copay. Blue Cross had none of those, so that's a direct impact to the employees. There were also a little bit of variation on the RX, and then there is the possibility that there was a network disruption. In other words, everybody's had their Blue Cross Blue Shield doctors for whatever period of time they've been working here,
Yes.
and they may have to change. So that was another negative on the UHC proposal.
Hey, can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
You may or may not know the answer to this, but just based on our history, you know, how much of that $1,500, you know, would the average, you know, staff member have to cough up? I mean, given, you know, our experience and that kind of thing.
Well, the loss ratio for this year ran about 86%, and that's premium versus claims. So that tells me you had some hospitalizations, outpatient, a lot of outpatient services. I don't know the exact percentages, but
Okay.
when you look at, you know, if I'm gonna have a minor procedure done, it's gonna be considered outpatient surgery, and I'm
Right.
gonna be hit with the $500.
I see.
So
I see.
that was a big, non,
Starter.
yeah, that was a non-starter for me on the United Healthcare, because,
Mhm.
you know, why would we look at any kind of rate that's primarily the same, but then hit the employees in their pocket?
Mhm.
So what is that rate that's in this area? And you say, you know, you said that they declined because the rate. So what rate are we talking about?
We're gonna get to the rates, all of them. We
Yes.
compared all the plans and all the rates.
Oh, okay.
What does, you said 86%
Mhm.
is capped. What's the sort of the Savannah average? Do you know?
There's not really a Savannah average.
National average, state
Yeah,
average?
the insurance companies as a whole like to see loss ratios in the 70 percentile numbers. When you start getting up into the high 80s and 90s, you're looking at not a lot of room for any other expenses besides paying claims.
And what exactly is that loss? I mean, what does that mean?
It means claims paid versus premiums paid.
Okay.
So, in other words, you've got to have enough premium to pay the claims and the administrative
Right,
expenses.
right,
So that's
right.
where that loss ratio.
So in our ratio was 86.
Six.
Okay.
You know, not terrible.
No, it ain't good.
But a little bit, you know, yeah, a little bit higher than last year.
Yeah, okay.
So you're saying we could be healthier?
Yeah, we're gonna make you healthier. CAT offered one plan design back when we first took over the group in 2017, and then the CAT staff recommended, after we presented several plan options, to offer 3 plans beginning last year. So this was the first year we offered 3 distinct plans, and it provided an advantage to the employees because they had a choice. Now I can look at 3 plans and I can decide what's best for my family and what can I afford. So we offered the 3 plans with varying levels of premium, and it actually reduced CAT's portion of the total premium. As a result, each plan, per the employee's preference, was there's a low plan, a middle plan, a high plan. The high plan is the richest plan, and you have 142 people in that plan. That's where they gravitated towards. The middle plan was 24 employees, and then the low plan was 4. And we'll get into what those plans really are. The low plan is, I'll always forget my clicker. The low plan is a health savings account compatible plan. And if you're familiar with what a health savings account is, you have to have a high deductible health plan in order to have an HSA savings account.
Yeah.
That high deductible health plan is deductible, co-insurance, no co-pays. So in other words, there are no co-pays for going to the doctor, RX, anything. It's everything subject to the deductible. But in any plan, no matter which one you choose, there is always going to be 100% paid, no deductibles for preventive services. And that's part of ACA. So we know that no matter what plan you're in, that the preventive services are paid at 100%. The middle plan is a mid-level deductible with higher out-of-pocket with a specific RX deductible, and we'll get into the details of the plan design. And that RX deductible does not apply to generics. And the preventive care, again, is 100%. The high plan, which most people gravitate to, has a most rich plan has a lower deductible, and a high level of coverage, and then again, the preventive is at 100%. So if you look at the next slide, there you go. This is a comparison of the Blue Cross Blue Shield high plan, that high plan that most people are in. So you have the high plan current, and you'll see what the rates are. It's broken out by employee, employee and spouse, employee and children, full family, what's the total monthly and the total annually, and 142 people participate. So you'll see we did the high plan with the renewal, which came in at 5% after negotiation, and then the United Healthcare alternative. So you can see how very, very close they were in total premium. But then, of course, United Healthcare had those differences in coverage. The next one compares of, I'm the employee, I'm paying 30% of this premium and CAT pays 70%. What's this going to mean for me this year? So what this is, it takes the contribution of 70%, and if you look at that first line, you'll see the employee is $442.83. The employee contributes $189.78, and the change in premium produced a $9.04 increase to them per month. So that is their increase going into the new plan year. And you can look down, all the way down the list for the different tiers of level, and you'll see what their increase cost is. And that's at a 5%. So are there any questions on that?
That's the comparison, Mr. Edwards.
Yeah, I understand the comparison, but I'm just, my question would be, if you have 142 employees who chose the high plan, you had 4 in the low plan, 24 in the middle plan, where can we have a happy median so that everybody could probably contribute into the higher plan, rather than having just 4 people or 4 families sitting out here by themselves, got 24 sitting in the middle, and then you got everybody else over here. The disparities, okay, and for lack of a better word, is something that I think, how do we work to close the gap? Is that
Well, I
something
think
that
that
you
the
all thought
reason
about?
we did the 3 plans is because some people that were in the high plan didn't feel like they wanted to pay
That much
in the
money.
high plan,
Mhm.
so they did have the choice.
Mhm.
But you also have a health reimbursement account set up here, so it didn't matter which of those 2 plans you were in, not the health savings account, but the other 2 plans, you had relief on your deductible.
Okay.
So say if I picked the plan that was $2,500
Mhm.
with my HRA, which is part of CAT that they fund, I pay the first $1,500, and then CAT's gonna pick up the next. So even though I'm choosing $2,500 deductible, it's really $1,500 because CAT's gonna pick it up.
Keep going.
The very next plan, that middle plan, same thing. So they have a choice of a little bit lower premium, but they also have some relief on their deductible.
It's really for the employee's choice and to offer a wider range of options, because when you look at the underwriting, the plans are all underwritten, or they calculate the premiums for them all equally. So when we got the first renewal, we got a different percentage increase for each plan. So the claims were broken up into each plan's bucket. So then we asked them to revise all of that, and it's all distributed evenly, 5% across the board.
So there's no way.
Nobody's penalized.
Yes,
So
so
I understand that nobody's penalized, but there's no way we can talk to those who are hanging out here in the lower plan. Because wouldn't it be to our advantage, wouldn't it be to the employees and families if everybody is over here?
well, that's the way it was. You know, we had everybody in.
I mean, I still give them their choice, but show them that you honestly save more monies, and you honestly save more out-of-pocket expense by being over here than being over
Well, actually, we do that because every renewal,
Yeah.
in open enrollment, we do meetings. We do
Mhm.
employee meetings, we meet with all the employees.
Okay.
And talk about all their benefits and explain to them what it means out of their pocket and which plan might be suited for them, and then they make the choice.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, we do sit down with
So
them.
you do, okay.
We do PowerPoints, we do one-on-one meetings, and we answer lots of questions. So yeah, we make sure they understand.
Yeah.
And is it also the case that employees that feel like they have less exposure, you know, they think of themselves as healthier and they have fewer dependents
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, they're
I
gonna
mean,
go
if you've
for
got
the
a young
lower cost?
single guy,
Uh-huh.
he's probably gonna take the lowest premium.
Right.
Because he says,
And
I
those
never
are
go to the
all-
doctor, I'm healthy, I don't have any kids. So he was able to do that, which
Yeah,
is a good
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
The 4 on that are all employee only.
Yeah.
There's no family coverage.
Yeah.
They're strictly single employees. A 22-year-old's not
So
gonna
what does
pay.
that tell you? That's who's in that plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did this for my company for years, and
Yes.
it was a nightmare.
And I think they're grateful for that choice.
Yes. And that meets the ACA requirements of
Absolutely.
offering a bronze plan for everybody who doesn't want to pay a fortune.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't want you to think I'm trying to take away options from
Right.
you, because that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying
You
to
just wanna
do
make
is
sure
make
they
sure we
understand.
get the employees get the best bang for their buck.
Absolutely. And that's our job. That's what
Yeah.
we do. Because I don't work for Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
I work for Chatham. You're my client. So, you know, when we go to other carriers and negotiate with Blue Cross, because believe me, we beat them up. We're good at that. I'm representing you, and I'm representing CAT employees. The next slide is that middle plan comparison. We have the 24 people in. And you see how the plan compared to the most competitive plan, which was at UHC. And then you'll see on the next slide what it meant to the employees. So if I'm in that middle plan, I'm gonna be paying $7.85 more a month if I'm a single employee, which is pretty good from what I see with renewals and other groups. So you'll see all the way down the list, it just gives you an example of, I'm the employee, how much is it gonna cost me? Because that's what they're gonna ask, right? How much is it gonna be out of my paycheck? And that's what this illustration shows you at 5%. And then the low plan, where we have those few employees, same thing, we compared it against UHC, and you can see it was a lot higher. And if you're in that low plan and you're an employee, it's gonna cost you $6.14 more a month to stay in that plan. So they can have the choice of staying where they are, they can move somewhere else, and they have that opportunity to do that. On the health reimbursement arrangement, that is the account that I was talking about that's designated to cover qualified out-of-pocket medical expenses that are not covered by another insurance source. So it reimburses the employee the last $1,000 of their deductible. So the middle plan is reduced to $1,500, and the high plan is reduced to $1,000, and the low plan is not eligible because it's a HSA savings plan. But think about that, that high plan and why people are in it. They still just have $1,000 deductible, which is very aggressive in today's market. You know, most deductibles average now $2,500, $3,000. So they still have $1,000 deductible, which is a credit to what CAT's doing for them as their employees. So that's why you have a lot of people gravitate towards that high plan, because they know their deductible's $1,000, and they can handle that usually. We have Admin America. It's the administrator who actually administers the HRA. We also have a flexible spending account that takes care of where you can set aside money each year. Flexible spending. We have that for medical and for dependent care. If anybody is interested in that, they haven't gone up on their admin fees in a very long time, and I think it's like $4.
How often do people take advantage of it?
You know, I don't quite know how many people are in that plan.
There's a good many that participate in that FSA.
There's about a fourth of our employees, about 25 people or so that participate in the flexible spending.
About 20%.
And we've done a lot of
Participate.
education on that as well.
That'll help the person with costs as well.
Absolutely. The dental plan. The MetLife dental plan that was in place, they did give us a 24-month rate guarantee last year. And they did not, so that was no renewal increase for this year. However, Blue Cross Blue Shield is one of the carriers that will give you a % off your medical premium if you add the dental insurance. So I said, give us a quote, because 1% off a premium of that size is significant, right? So we asked Blue Cross to give us a dental quote. They came in with a very aggressive dental quote that was actually less than the MetLife, so it's a plus for the employees. and they took that 1% off the medical premium, and that's how we got the negotiate. We had them down to 6, and this is how we got them from 6 to 5. So when you're looking at a hefty premium, 1% means a lot. And if you can give an employee the same dental coverage at less premium, then it's a win-win for all of us. So we suggested or recommended that we just change it over to Blue Cross Blue Shield July 1, and you'll see the current and proposed changes, it's the same plan. They just quoted it exactly the way we want it. And you can see that we're about a $6,700 difference in the premium.
That's just a question. And does, in dental plans, do they have the same difficulties that you encounter with medical plans where certain providers take it, certain providers don't? So will staff people have to change?
There is a network of providers that you get the best deal from, but this is what we call a passive network. So you can go just anybody you want to. And it's going to pay the 90th percentile or whatever reasonable and customary is. So if you make sure your provider is a Blue Cross provider, then you get a better deal. But you know, it's not as complicated with dental because dental typically, like this plan, has a $1,500 max, and then everything's pretty much scheduled out. So it's not like a big, you know, medical plan that gets a little complicated. Dental's a lot easier.
So do more dentists participate in more plans than physicians participate in plans? Okay.
And
They
if
can
you
afford
don't,
to.
you're not penalized as an employee nearly as much or if at
Okay.
all.
At that all.
Okay, thank you.
On the life, the LTD, which is long-term disability, and STD, which is short-term disability. Oh, did we do the vision? Oh, I'm just skipping.
That's okay.
All right, the vision. This was another thing that MetLife had, the vision, or has the vision, and they also did 24 months. But my thinking was, give Blue Cross a chance to take the vision too, because why are we going to just have one product now with MetLife?
Yeah.
And let's move it over to Blue Cross, ask them for a quote, see if they will do a little bit better on the vision. And they did, very slightly, but they did. And they also duplicated the plan, because when we put the MetLife plan in here, everybody was very excited about the fact that you could get frames and lens allowances every 12 months, because a typical plan would be 24 months. So we had Blue Cross duplicate that. So we're recommending that we move the vision and the dental together over to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And you'll see what the cost difference was. So it's a little bit lower with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So when you presented it to the employees as getting the medical, the dental, and the vision all in one?
No, they can pick and choose. And the vision is absolutely voluntary on their part.
Right, okay.
So,
you can opt out of one.
Absolutely. You can do one, both, none, whatever.
When we say all in one, it's just easier to navigate because
Right.
you have one card.
But isn't it less expensive to them
to the
if we
employee.
do to the employee?
Yes.
If we understand that, if you understand that by having more people in is more cost effective for everybody,
Yeah, and what happens on the dental is,
even the young ones.
CAT pays 70% of the employee-only dental premium.
Okay.
So that kind of gets grouped in because they're paying 70% of that. And then the employees pick up the dependent premium if they want to add their dependents. On the vision, it's totally voluntary, meaning the employee pays for it if they want vision, because not everybody needs vision coverage. So the life, long-term disability, short-term disability, and voluntary life. In 2017, we moved all of these coverages to Mutual of Omaha. They gave us a 2-year rate guarantee, which doesn't expire until 2019. Their proposal offered a tremendous amount of savings to CAT. It was a 7% decrease on the basic life, a 17% decrease on the long-term disability, 10 on the short term, and so the annual savings just by moving from over to Mutual of Omaha was $30,000 a year. So the duration of their 24-month contract was a $60,000 savings. So we're not doing anything to change that until
Right.
2019. I'll have that as my next slide.
Yeah, you in the wellness. Slide number.
All right. This is bunching it all up. Let's say, okay, come July 1, 2018, what are our premiums gonna be? So this says, what is the current and what is the annual? So we have the medical, the HRA plan. We don't have changes there because we don't really know the participation. The dental was down, the vision was down, the life and disability stayed the same. So the overall increase is 3.73% to the plan, which is excellent. So that is the overall.
And part of the reason that it's not 5% is because bringing these others into the package
Yes.
really enhances that.
Right. And like I said, when you're looking at a big medical premium, like you're paying 1% is good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a game changer. Particularly if they're gonna duplicate the benefits and give you a lower premium.
Right.
So the overall is 3.73.
So now, who makes the presentation to the employees? You all do?
We do.
It's not staff.
They participate as well, but it's basically our team, and there's more to our team than just the two of us.
Okay.
But yeah, basically it's our team.
And it is documented that we have conversations with all employees and all that other stuff like that. Whether
You know,
whether they want buying insurance or not.
Yes,
stuff like
because
that.
as protection for you as a group, if someone is offered a coverage and they turn it down,
Yeah.
we need to have that in writing.
Yeah.
Because we don't want them coming back later saying, oh, you never
They
told
went
me, and
out.
now I have a claim. So it's protection for everybody involved. So yeah, every single person has to have an election or a denial. Wellness initiatives, we've been working on wellness initiatives with CAT for a couple years. We're making some progress. Phase 1 was initiated, and we proposed a 3-year timeline. And eventually what we want this wellness program to do, in addition to enhancing the health of everyone, is to eventually tie it into a premium reduction. We're not quite there yet, but that's kind of like our goal. So this is a 3-year plan, and it's collaborated effort with the culture, the wellness, lifestyle improvement, and CAT's leadership and employee population. We do it through education, program promotion, followed by a potential mitigation of the results-based, requirement-based premium discount reward system. So that's really what we're working towards. Phase 1 in April 2017, we did free biometric screenings, and biometric screenings are blood draws, weight, measurements, all of that. Flu shots were offered to all the employees at no charge, and health checks were available to all the CAT plan members. So the individual incentives were offered. If you went online, we showed them an online service they could go to. They could participate in various activities and programs online, and they could earn points and incentives with that. And our goal now is to try to build that up, to get more people on that online service. The goal is to create a culture and system of wellness for the employees to be totally engaged. Wellness is a hard thing. It's hard to change people's lifestyle.
Without dollar signs.
When we first initiated, Blue Cross did a $50 gift card for the people that went online to get engaged. So yeah, it's kind of like, what is my incentive to do it? It's not usually, oh, I'm going to make my overall health better. It's really hard to get people to do that. As we move into phase 2 and 3, yeah.
And I don't know if it's you or Ms. Sheila has to answer. Are we tracking the matrix on this to see
Yes.
that we are progressing and making sure that wellness is becoming?
Absolutely, we know that.
Can we get those numbers shared amongst us so we can make sure that we're seeing that
Yeah,
people will be
we'll
coming
tell
out
you
from most
the
offices.
participation numbers and, you know, all that kind of thing.
Especially with flu shots and screenings.
Yeah.
Who does the biometric screening and where are these records kept?
It's set up through, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay.
And we don't keep the records. All of that is protected health information.
Right. That's
So if
why
I'm an
that's it.
employee and I do the whole screening, I do my blood work and all that, then I'm gonna fill out an online assessment, and then I'm gonna get a call and say, let's talk about your results. Let's talk about what you
As
might
an
be able
RN
to do.
or a PA.
The only thing we get are that Sheila gets is an aggregate. This many people participate.
I've done it, okay.
So who-
And Blue Cross keeps the records?
Yes,
And it's a PA, RN, or MD that calls
it's usually a nurse.
I don't necessarily need to see the names, I do need to see the numbers.
the numbers?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll show you
we'll-
that
we'll-
participation. Because we've got a ways to go, quite frankly, folks. I mean, we've got maybe 20% that participated. We'd like to see that number grow
And
and grow
are we
and
setting a
grow.
goal for where we wanna be at?
When Terry goes to the next, screen, we'll talk about phases 2 and 3. But basically, the way we proposed the wellness program was to set
You
up.
can go ahead and do the next one.
Was to kind of set up steps or requirements in order to fulfill your goal, in order to receive your incentive to get, to the end point. So, at our bucket, we had the HRA, which is a health risk assessment online, which was provided through Blue Cross. So that was free of charge, meaning we didn't have to put out any money for that service. So that was part of the requirement. Another part of the requirement were the the on-site biometrics. So if they came and did the flu shots, they do your labs, so that was part 2. And then the third part was to kind of keep track of your profile online and talk to your wellness coach. So when we mentioned the 20%, those were the people who actually went online and signed up for their portal, because the information's
actually
gotta
it's
go
around
somewhere
10.
and be tracked. So that was the participation issue that we had. So if they don't set up the portal, then, right.
So do you, in putting the wellness plan initiative together, do they have the option of sharing it with their healthcare provider?
Oh,
Their
yeah.
primary doctor?
Mhm, yes.
And they can, whoever, whenever we gather the information, get the data from the bloods?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, even, with the labs and the biometrics, you don't have to do it on site.
Right.
We have a form, you take it to your provider and have that.
Your provider can do it, or if you do the biometrics and all the screening online, you can actually print it out and take it to your primary care
See, 'cause
physician.
one of the things I look at is that you got a wellness coach or a nurse, wellness nurse, who's gonna call and talk about your results,
Yeah.
right? In some cases, when they use the vernacular that the medical profession use, you don't know what in the world they're talking about.
Yeah.
But if I can get that to my doctor, my primary care doctor, and I said, okay, can we go over what they found and what you're telling me?
Yep.
You know, because sometimes, and I'm gonna live an example that sometimes when what the wellness coach is or the wellness nurse is prescribing, because of your medical history, your doctor saying, no, you don't need to do this because that will conflict with whatever
Right.
medications you're taking or whatever your condition is.
Well, we can
Right.
help with communication with that too. We
Yeah.
can kind of tailor a communication piece, or make sure that there's steps showing how to do that.
Right, okay, and plus what it does too is, as a person who's participating, I trust my primary care more than I trust a nurse on the phone who may be calling me from Arizona.
Right.
And I don't know them from Arizona, so if that information is shared with my primary, then my primary can say, okay, I talked to, or your wellness folks sent me this information, right? So if they ask me to go take any kind of test, the results of that test is sent to primary, so primary can talk about what I say. So then I have a better conversation with the wellness coach and with the wellness nurse.
And you're describing exactly what we want the employees to do.
Right.
Is to be involved with that online assessment, be involved with their doctor, be involved with the coaches, and, be out there discussing it with their doctors and their health.
Well, the only thing I'm pushing is that we employees understand that's what you're trying to do.
Right.
Right, and this is, since this is the first 2 developmental years,
Okay.
the process you're talking about now is more than likely only gonna be triggered by a chronic condition.
Right.
So if I have high blood pressure, if I
Right.
have diabetes,
Right.
then that'll trigger the health coach process. We wanna get it to where if I'm not sick and I don't have a chronic
Yeah.
condition, we're still
You
in
don't go to
contact
preventive
with our
versus-
physicians and all this data is put together. So that's our goal to be.
Okay.
And on that 20%, I'm guessing that probably 70% use their primary care as their only source.
We-
20% doesn't mean those are the only people who are healthy here.
Right.
20% means they're the only one who
Those are
signed
people
up
who are taking additional
online.
steps.
Yeah.
Right.
And when we see how much data is stolen online, a lot of people will not give their medical data. I will not.
But either way, there's still metrics in there, so we know that.
Yeah, but they have to sign on and tell you they went to their PCP.
No.
How do you know they went to a PCP and had their testing
Well, I mean,
done?
their health coach will, if they need to go to a PCP, will
Well,
direct them
most
that
of the
way.
people, like, I have one. If I joined this plan, I wouldn't be contacting your nurse. I'd use my PCP for everything.
You can.
So those numbers at 10 and 20% only relate to people who signed up on the portal.
Right.
And you're gonna get less than that, because I was in the field for 30 years. People ain't telling you nothing. I was a
Yeah.
dentist, and most patients do not share medical information, even with me, and I'm bound by
Law.
the
And
HIPAA Act.
that's fine, it's just what we wanna encourage is even for those members who don't wanna share information,
Right. but
to
again,
have something where they
those
tell us
metrics
that we
don't
do
always
not
help.
wanna participate. I've seen my PCP, I don't wanna be the same.
But
Yeah.
they
So
have
we
to do
don't
that
have a
online.
measure.
If they don't go on and put in, my PCP is all I'm gonna talk to, you'll never know what our real percentage of participation is.
No, we
Yeah,
won't.
but-
That's
There's
why.
other ways we can.
But if
Yeah.
you incentivize it somehow, some way,
Exactly.
where you're trying to encourage them to go through what our things, so, because we gotta protect our interests. I was an engineer when
Trust me, it
when we
doesn't
did it.
work with people in
Yeah,
medical.
it didn't, but when we did these kind of plans, where I was at, I had a primary healthcare doctor, but I also went through the stuff at the job because it helped the company, it helped the premiums, it helped all that stuff go down and be regulated at the right rate. And if employees understand the buy-in piece, then they'll start to slowly get into the system. Yes, you're not gonna be at 100% the first year, but my goal when I ask the numbers, I understand 20-30% the first year. But we need to be moving progressively forward, whatever means we need to do to get that number to move up.
And I have seen, I've been doing this
I
for.
understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
it's not gonna,
Yeah.
most likely.
I've been doing it for about 30 years too.
Yeah.
And the
But
concentration
when
piece
we
is
first
on-
started this wellness initiative and just getting somebody to come in and do biometrics, people don't like to have their blood pricked and all that kind of stuff. But I have seen it, we've had a person in the room who doesn't have a PCP, they never go to the doctor, they sit down, do biometrics, get their blood pressure, and I had seen where their blood pressure was so high, they would be like, you're leaving right now and you're going directly to.
See, we had it mandatory,
ER.
mandatory.
So you can catch things that people really are not aware of because they don't go to the doctor.
All right.
So, if you have that incentive there that they come in, one way or another, they're coming in, you usually can find something to help someone.
And you might have 50 or 60% of the people who don't go to any doctors, so there are no
Exactly.
records of them getting any treatment or
And
care.
then at that point, to offer a choice.
Right.
I don't wanna be the last in biometrics, but maybe I wanna enter a race, or I wanna count my steps and that
We're
information.
We're
Give people a
incentivizing those
choice
who
to
actually
fulfill the
take part in
requirement.
this and not those who don't.
Right.
Do we do annual physicals? Maybe that's a question I should ask.
They're covered 100%.
They're under 100% under the health insurance, but they aren't required.
Okay, that's the key. The word is
They are
required.
required to.
See, we were required to do an
To
annual
be on the
physical.
plan at all.
And we had to do an annual physical just in case you wasn't on insurance. So we did and that's when I found out, I had cholesterol issues and stuff like that. Because when I was single, I didn't go to the doctor every year.
Right.
But when I went there, that's when I found out I needed glasses. That's when I needed, because the annual checkup did that, and it forced me to go into my primary health care doctor. So I don't know, we have that discussion here, if it becomes mandatory or required, whatever you want to current term, but we need to discuss that another time.
So what incentives are we initiating to get folks to get into the wellness plan? Because to me, you have to look at, even if I'm 22 years old, But if I'm gonna add $145 a year to my healthcare, you know, it's gonna accelerate until when I actually get to use it, I'm gonna be paying more than I'm getting out of it. So, what incentive program are we talking at? And then two, how are we presenting this to employees? You know, a lot of times stuff is in the presentation of it.
Right.
You know,
and the
we talk
perception.
about incentives. You know, I don't care who you are. It don't need giving me no incentive or no $25 to Walmart because I don't, you know, ain't going nowhere.
But if they take your contribution,
Right.
it's gonna be
See, yeah, you know,
5%.
That's
it's
our
like-
goal. Our goal is to tie
Yeah.
into premiums.
This is honestly tied into your salary, your income, and you're gonna be able to save X number over this period of time because here are the project. Do you project out 5 years, 10 years, or do you project just year to year?
No, we can go out like 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5.
You don't go
But-
too far.
Yeah, I mean, what our goal is with these different phases and getting people to buy into it
Mhm.
gradually, because it takes a while. Our end goal is to tie it to premiums.
Right.
If you participate, this is your premium. If you don't, this is your premium.
Yeah.
Because it all comes down to how much is it gonna cost me?
Yeah. Your premium is higher if you don't participate.
And
as
you wanna
compared to if you
communicate
do.
it as a discount and not as a disincentive
Yeah.
for those who don't.
Yeah, it's more of a reward. We don't want people to think they're being
Right.
punished.
They're being, yeah.
Saying you've got union contracts who are gonna be very anti-signing anything that they must have physicals done.
Well, I'm not telling anybody you must have a physical. I'm not even there. I don't even get on that page because I don't think you can demand or tell grown folks what to do. But what I want to say to you is, this is for your benefit.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
how it will benefit you in the long run. You see?
And I ain't gonna say no more after this.
Yeah. No,
But-
don't tell us.
But Chester, you can,
Mhm.
because when I first got out there, we did not have the annual physicals.
Right.
And what happened was we were an unhealthy population.
Right.
When we started having the annual physicals, what started happening is you knew your annual physical date. So if you were gonna be healthy, you were gonna be healthy at least 2 months prior to your annual physical. You had to take your medication, you took it before your annual date.
So it don't show up.
So we understood that you had to be somewhat healthy prior to
Right.
it. The key is, I don't know if this discussion piece, we can require it, because initially we had the same conversation.
Mhm.
We weren't gonna make it required, but then we finally came to the table and said we're gonna require that they do the wellness program, annual physical, whatever you wanna call it. And when we started doing it, once again, we started having a healthier population. Because people started going to their primary health care doctor, because the annual physical, if you came up diabetic, then we would say, you need to go to your doctor. If you have blood pressure, you need to go to your doctor. And you, in order to come back to work, you had that information. Now, I don't wanna cause a catechism here,
He's
but
referring to as a requirement-based wellness program,
Right.
which a lot of people do have, but
Right.
sometimes you have to work up
Up to
towards
that point.
Yeah, a
which
wellness
we-
initiative, yeah.
Exactly, and then you have incentive-based, and then you can just take those two out, and
Yeah.
you have to do this to be on our plan, period.
And to answer your question, we were heavily union.
Yeah,
So
union
it wasn't a union issue involved. Now, we do have to understand that when the union contract comes up, we have to talk about it, but there was a union involved.
Well, my only thoughts and my only initiative would be, as we move from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, that we increase that 20% number.
Yeah, well, that's our
You can't go in phase 1 and say, okay, we got 20%. Then when you get through in the midst of phase 2, you say, we still at 20%.
It's something didn't go right.
Something, and that's my point.
But that was
my
my
point
point.
is, something is not being transferred,
Like
you know,
the
so that
first
they.
year, it told us a story.
Yeah.
It did tell us
We
a
gave
story.
you a
Right,
platform.
exactly, so now we know how to go through the process and plan with you all and leadership to figure out how to get
How to
that
get it,
thing
yeah.
For our
for
buck.
our
Yeah.
buck and get people healthy.
And you also have a nice gym.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna get stuck at the platform, that's my problem.
Right.
I don't want us to stuck at the platform question. I wanna elevate us to where we can go to what you call, wherever you call it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Told you I won't say that.
Okay.
I'll leave that.
The last thing I wanted to just touch on briefly, and I did last year, but we have new members this year. Seacrest Partners merged last July in 2017 with Sterling Risk Partners out of Atlanta. And that affords us the opportunity to be the largest independent broker in the state of Georgia. So it does give us leverage with carriers, technology, etc. But the main reason we did it, quite frankly, is because Seacrest Partners was founded in 2006 by 7 people. And the idea was we want to get back to what we do best, which is servicing, helping our customers, and being a very integral part of the community. You can't always do that if you're owned by a larger corporation and somebody that's tied to the stock market. So that was our incentive in keeping it privately held, and that was 2006. Now, when we did this merger with Sterling, they had the same philosophy. They started about the same time. So we actually had a true merger. No money was exchanged. We had the same number of board members, the same number of stockholders. So we felt like this was a good marriage to keep us independent and to also have a place to bring in younger folks to stay with the company, own part of the company, and keep it private. And that was our biggest motivation because, you know, we needed a bigger footprint in Atlanta too. But we've been very happy with what's taken place over the past year. Our services in Savannah pretty much have stayed the same. So we're glad of what we've accomplished, and we're glad that we were able to maintain the clients that we have. And most importantly, I know if you're all involved in community efforts and charitable institutions, you probably see Seacrest Partners a lot. We participate a lot into lots of organizations, and that's what we want to do. We want to give back, and we also want to take our younger employees, put them in a position to interact with those community development people, and keep it going. So that's what we are about now with Sterling Seacrest Partners. And I want to say thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your benefit program, and we appreciate your business.
Sterling has, they have the advantage, we know Seacrest, but don't they have a lot more areas that they can help with?
Yeah, they were a little bit larger than we are. And Atlanta is, as you well know, is a very different market than Savannah. So they had a bigger footprint in Savannah. We had an Atlanta office. So what this afforded us was we kept both offices. One's in Peachtree Corners, one's in Vinings. And it gave the employees an opportunity too. If they lived closer to the Vinings office, they could move there, or vice versa, because traffic in Atlanta is horrendous, as we all know. We also have an office, this was the Seacrest office in Hilton Head, a very small office in Hilton Head. And then there's another office in Arkansas that was part of Sterling. But yeah, the larger the number, the more clout we have in the market, and quite frankly, the reputation that we have, plus the reputation of Sterling, has helped us in so many cases. And this is a good example of what we were able to do with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So
they want to do business with us.
So other than CAT, there are other entities that you are a client, that are your clients here?
Yes.
You're able to say some of those?
They're all our clients still. No, we've actually picked up some more. So we've been thriving, because I think about when I went over in 2007, so I was the first person in my position as a producer to come over, and we had 9 people, and now we have about 178, almost 200 people, so we've done well. So are there any questions that I can answer? Yes.
Is there a maximum on mental health services?
Yes.
10,000?
Did you see, oh, you're looking at the
breakdowns.
Yes, if you look at, you'll see plan design. Their plan design summaries back here.
Yeah, I'm on that one.
And it's on every single plan. So the first one is the low option.
No, but is there a cap on usage?
Oh, mental health.
A lot of plans have a maximum of 10,000 lifetime.
Yeah, there's no lifetime.
No lifetime, that's what I want to ask. Because driving a bus can be a nightmare for mental health.
And then there's no, there's no lifetime benefits at all. Remember, the old plans used to be like $1 million.
Yeah.
It's unlimited.
That's fine, that's an important one.
Is there an EAP program? I didn't see.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Where?
It's not in there, but it's with Mutual of Omaha, who's the life and LTD carrier. Moving to them, also gave us a free EAP program as part of their package. And I can get you some information on that. And we're looking now at enhancing that, for the employees. Did you want to speak to that at all, or?
Well, we have the free portion, through Mutual of Omaha that provides 3 free visits per year. And the employees can choose the available, counselor they would like to see here in Savannah that also accepts Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. So they can continue to receive those services through Blue Cross Blue Shield and only pay a copay after their first 3 visits. Yes, we are pushing this year. We would like to change it to the advanced EAP program through Mutual of Omaha, but there were other reasons behind why we wanted to do that.
With the EAP with Mutual of Omaha, the enhanced option, roughly for every employee and their dependent, $170 annually.
28 cents.
Per employee per month, so yeah, to go to the enhanced. And what that would afford you is more face-to-face visits. We would be able to get aggregate reporting that shows the usage and things of that nature with that cost.
That's a very important. Thank you
So,
for asking that.
so when you say there were other, Sheila, when you say there are other,
We'd like the opportunity to be able to make employee referrals officially when we see there's a need out there for our employees. And under this program, the one that we currently have is a basic. It's totally up to the employee. They could choose to go or not, and we do refer them. But under the comprehensive plan that Mutual of Omaha offers, we can officially make a written referral for that particular employee.
does that cover the mental health portion of it, or the substance abuse portion of it as well?
This
Yes,
is an additional.
It's an additional?
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't really have anything to do with the medical part of the plan.
Uh-huh.
This is an additional, like, let's just say I'm dealing with depression.
Right.
Or I'm dealing with.
Anxiety.
Anxiety, anything, and you wanna talk with someone, this is what this program will offer you. And there's some, face-to-face visits that you can have with qualified, health coaches or psychologists.
And any HR related type issue that might be too personal to discuss one-on-one with the employee, this is a referral basis that would be used to direct those employees to get assistance.
Is there any way throughout the whole health plan, is there any way that, for instance, we can calculate or measure the amount of stress that's, some jobs are stressful than others, all right? Is there any way to measure?
What type of unit would you measure by? What
All
is
right.
it, like a self-report?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, is there, like, for instance, operators, all right, who have to operate that bus between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock down Abercorn? You know what I'm talking about? As compared to, or either an operator who has to go from downtown to the airport 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, as compared to some who's riding the shuttle that's going from place to place. You see, to me, the stress level of what you encounter, right? Even from the standpoint of, you've got X number of buses or vans that go down, and the mechanics are stressed out now because we got to get these things back up on the road. So therefore, the stress level is going to go here, then it's going to peak here, then it's going to go, and it's going to be like a roller coaster. What I'm asking is, do we have the matrix, do we have the measurements, or do we have anything where we can measure what is that stress level, so that can tell us, because sometimes the stress level can run folks into an anxiety attack, which simulates a heart attack because of what they've been
I think we
doing.
can develop a plan to get there, just because that means different things to different people. Like
Right.
my definition of high stress might be different from
Yeah.
Bob's definition
Right,
of high stress.
right.
But for open enrollment, since we do all the education meetings, we can do surveys.
Mhm.
Would you be interested in these
Yeah.
services if you,
Yeah.
you know, are you
Or
not
even
doing-
a survey that says, talk about your tension level of operation between 6 in the morning and 9 to 12, 12 to 4. You see what I'm
I
saying?
think that's something
I think
too,
that
though.
seems to be something outside of the rings of a health insurance plan that we could certainly pursue on another level. I know there has to be
Some type of
experts out
HR.
there that have those type of metrics available for various positions, because I'm sure every job at CAT is stressful in some way or another.
But that can fit up under your health, your wellness plan.
They can.
See, it's not outside.
Yeah.
It can go up under your wellness
Well, a
plan.
lot of times
Because
stressful
what you want to do is the folks who have to work for you, who have to operate, who have to deal with people,
Yeah.
you know, because even that point of dealing with folks, I witnessed something today that I thought the salesman should have gone off the grid, you know, because when you're in the people business, and that's what we in, the people business, stress levels are gonna go and come, and I'm just saying that we measure it so that there's a part of the wellness plan, we have things that's going on that can help with your stress level. See, it's
And
like
that goes all back to the wellness.
yeah, it goes back to the wellness, and it's like what the old philosophers say. If you can keep your head about you while all others are losing theirs, you'll be a man, my son. See, and that's what I'm talking about.
So it won't be.
And I'm talking about in the wellness plan.
Yeah.
So folks won't go off on people. See, you won't make a person's job so stressful till they come in here and you get it. See, so that's why I'm asking, can we put those kind of matrix in the wellness plan to help the employees? See?
You just quote him.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna try to pull this back a little bit to the.
But it's all in the
it's
same.
all
It's all in the presentation.
But I'm gonna try to pull it back to the approving of the healthcare proposal. I mean, I think this is a good conversation, and I think it's worth some more conversations about the wellness plan. Because obviously, for me, 20% of my employees is pretty low participation.
But it's the first year. I mean, that's good numbers for a first year.
Yeah, we gotta get,
Yeah,
we gotta go the other way.
We've got to have a goal.
That's actually higher than what I would expect.
So I'd like to pull this back and have a motion, a first and a second, to open discussion on the actual proposal.
Second.
Motion. Second.
Second. So do we have any items for discussion as far as approving the health plans that are presented to us, basically the Blue Cross Blue Shield and
Seacrest or something.
the Seacrest? So if we have no further discussions, I'd like to take a vote. All in favor of approving the health plans as presented by Seacrest, raise your hands. Anybody opposed? So the motion carries. And then we have just a couple small ones.
Thank you.
Well, let me,
To,
can I say this last thing in the booklet?
Sure.
I just want y'all to just review, it's some of the wellness initiatives.
Yeah.
And you will see it has behavioral health, that talks about anxiety,
Okay.
depression,
Okay.
and all
Okay.
that. I just wanted to,
Okay.
you could, look at that a little bit later.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you
That was
so
a
much,
great
I
presentation.
appreciate it.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for the 3-point-something%.
Today's market.
Good job.
4%.
We'll get better next year.
Maybe. We usually end up saving up to make the increase
So,
smaller.
Michael, do you want to take us through this ferry boat
No, I don't.
change order? This Michael. Your doctor. He's Michael.
I know.
Yes, the staff requested the board approve 3 change orders totaling $17,051 related to the marine contract vessel rehabilitation. That is Florence Martis. The first change order was to convert from manual hydraulic pump to electric pump. It will eliminate a 70-foot push rod, and it would be safer for the captain to maneuver the vessel. second change order is to, it covers the graphics. The initial proposal RFP called for replacing existing siding, but it did not cover the logos. So that's the second change order. The third change order is to fix some welding cracks that were underneath the water line that weren't seen initially until the vessel was lifted out of the water and dry docked. And the initial estimate on each change order is I think it's in your board packet. That totals up to 17.5.
17,0551. The original contract.
Yes.
So these were things that were unseen until the boat was out of the water. As well as
The last one was unseen. The second one was the RFP called for replacing the exterior, but didn't realize that the graphics weren't included.
Mm-hmm.
So that's to include the graphics.
So that's just
not
graphics.
something that
Okay,
wasn't
that
unseen.
sounds better. That
Yes.
sounds better.
And then on the first change order, again, that was something that the vessel now has an electric pump. It's an outdated electric pump that is from 2000. So the initial RFP did not address it correctly. This is to change that.
What's the usual life expectancy of the pump? How long do they usually last?
The electric pump?
Yes.
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
Jimmy's not available today, but I can give him a call to answer that question.
And another thing is warranty. There's no warranties on these things, or are there annual checkups on these things?
Yes, there are warranties and annual checkups, both.
And I guess it's a limited warranty, I guess. If we replacing it, this is the cost to replace it?
Yes, this is a complete rehab of this vessel.
Then that should be a full warranty. If it's a new jet.
It's completely new. Everything is new except the hull.
shell.
That's the only thing.
So it should be a full warranty.
So we make sure the warranty's in place before we sign off, right?
I'm sure Jimmy will do that.
Yeah.
All right, and my other question is, have we already acquired the grant that covers the 80%? Or are we talking about applying for the grant that's gonna cover the 80%?
No,
That's all right.
yeah, it's already in place.
So,
Back to what I
Say
was
again?
saying.
okay.
The grant's in place and the trade center has a local match.
Okay.
Can we make sure that, I mean, I didn't mean to check, can we make sure that fully, warranty and stuff like, can we make sure that's presented next meeting?
Yes.
Whatever information we
Yeah.
can collaborate with, I need to hear that,
Yeah.
for sure.
And who does the annual checkup?
That's a good
If it's
question.
on an annual basis? Who is that? Is that somebody with?
Is it a secondary vendor, or
That
do we
or
just?
Marine
somebody
surveyor.
out?
Yeah.
Somebody with the marine service?
Marine surveyors, yeah.
Who has the contract?
I don't know if there is a contract. I mean, I think they do it yearly, on an annual basis.
It may not necessarily be a contract, or if it's something, is it like a federal something, a federal, a state or something, regulated type organization?
Coast Guard.
Okay.
Coast Guard
So we wouldn't
requires
do
it.
a contract with it because it's the Coast Guard. And that's just something they do normally for marine assets.
They inspect them yes.
Coast Guard inspect them every year.
As far as I know.
Okay. Do they, like for instance, you didn't know that there was some problems with certain parts of it until they got out of water?
And that was actually the Coast Guard that's requiring those repairs
Be
made
done
for those cracks.
after it
Yes.
came out of the water?
Correct.
Okay, so that means that's something they can't see, this is out the water.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
I move for approval.
I was gonna say, if any more questions, I'll.
We need a first and a second.
Second.
All those in favor, let's vote by raising our hands. Motion carries. And I would like to say on this, the reason this came up as kind of a rush is the boat's out of the water.
Yeah, we gotta get back in the water.
We gotta get back in the water.
Yeah.
Normally
And make no
Curtis,
money out of the water.
because this is within his checks on
Oh.
authority, would have signed off on this, but we changed our procurement policy, that all change orders to existing contracts have to be approved by the board. So that's why this is here in kind of a rush step.
Okay. Should be back in the water by,
So the next
July.
one, Mike, I think is also kind of a date-related issue, the LONO grant application.
It is, staff requests the board approve, the submission of the FY18 LONO application. The due date on the application, is June 15th, so, that was prior to the June board meeting, so that's why this is being brought up at the special call meeting.
And this is basically, we're applying for grant.
Correct.
And I think you said it was $2.5 million for low or no emission vehicles.
That's correct.
Chester.
Why do we wait to what I consider the last moment? See, if we know that the filing date was supposed to be in June, how didn't this come before us in March or April? So that we could do this, so that you could do the paperwork and get it in. I filed for grants and stuff too, right? I know the deadline is July 31st, but I don't wait till July to get approval to do the grant. Why aren't we doing these things ahead of time?
Okay, Patricia, I think you had a.
Yes, I can add to that. Actually, this particular one is due on June 18th. And we were doing additional research, talking to the various bus manufacturers who produce electric buses. You all had directed us, I believe, last December to convert our fleet over into electric buses. And so we already have, remember, the money to buy the 18 diesel buses, which we celebrated and had the event last Friday. And so we have additional funds left over that will allow us to purchase 6 electric buses. Okay, this grant that we want to go after, if we're awarded this low-no grant, will be an opportunity for us to buy 2 more electric buses.
Correct.
And so we have to have a partner to submit this grant application, and we have been talking to 2 of the best manufacturers in the company, and we just recently made a decision after getting additional information from one of those bus manufacturers to select them as a partner. So we're working with them on the application. We thought initially that it wasn't due until after the board meeting later this month, but we found out no, it's due on the 18th.
Who is the partner?
We're thinking about partnering with Gillett. Gillett is the one, Gillett manufacturer.
Can you spell it?
G-I-L-L-E-G. They produce the diesel buses for us. They produce hybrid buses. They are making advancements in the electric bus category, and so we have determined that they're the appropriate one to partner with on this grant. So again, we already have grant money to purchase 6 electric buses left over from that other successful grant that we went after to purchase the diesel buses. But we're, anytime we hear that there's more money out there, we're going to go after it. So by submitting this grant, there's a possibility that we can get additional funds so that we'll be purchasing 2 additional electric buses, plus, the charging stations that we'll need to run all of those.
And those would be electric buses?
Yes.
100%?
Yes. That's what we're going after.
And I'm not against you going after anything. All I'm saying is, if we did this in December, based upon what she said, then why not in January, February, get all the parameters and everything and present it to the board so that you give yourself some OO room. OO room is when you're writing grants and you forgot to put this particular thing in or that particular thing. Now what you do, your back is against the wall. You've got to get this grant and make sure it's perfectly acceptable to those who are going to award the grant. And I'm saying going forward, because I know we can do but this today if we're going to do this but pass it. But I'm saying going forward, let's don't talk about something in December and then we're waiting to the June meeting and now we find out, oh, it's gotta be in before the June meeting, so we gotta do it during the special call meeting.
I understand what you're saying.
My thing
Additional
is,
planning.
yeah, you don't have your planning together, and
Well, it's my understanding at the December meeting, you all asked us to do the additional research, and so we've
Correct.
been researching it since
so
then.
it takes 6 months?
We're an extremely busy agency.
Mike.
But I think that Chester's comments are in line, because there is a lot of stuff that CAT does seem to wait until the very
So
last
I'm
second
asking.
to do.
Gotcha.
Not just this grant, but a lot of things seem to be,
Ask me.
uh-oh, we gotta do it now.
Yeah.
And we're
So I
gonna-
think it's a valid question, not necessarily
Absolutely.
all the time, but we do seem like we do sometimes wait till late in the day to get started on stuff.
I agree.
But
Mike,
we'll work
question.
on that.
And I think,
Yeah.
Jay,
Mike, not last meeting, but the meeting before, we talked about 4 buses coming off of the terminal. All those buses not being used anymore. Anybody can answer the question. I don't care who answers the question. I just want to make sure those buses that we voted on, they're not to be
Retired.
used anymore, retired.
To 3012, until we get our new buses, in service, we're still using those buses because we can't afford to pull those buses out of service until the other buses get in service.
So you're
currently
talking
we
about the
have-
ones we talked about last month where we celebrated, those are the ones that replace them?
Correct.
All right.
That's what's
So
replacing.
what's the time frame for those? Because we voted on that 2 months
We
ago.
did.
I don't want buses that we voted on 2 months ago, 6 months still in service.
And that won't happen. These buses now, the brand new buses, right now they're being, Indra is being installed. The GPS system, is being installed. Next week, we have, the rear cameras are being installed, and then the radios are gonna be installed, and then they'll be.
When will you be on the road then?
They'll be on the road within 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So
It
these
just-
buses
it
should be
takes a
coming,
little bit.
so these buses we voted to get, take out
Will
of
be coming out
service
of
will be gone.
service.
okay, I'm gonna pull it back a little bit, and let's continue the story with the no-low application grant.
That's correct.
So is there any more discussion on the grant? If not, I'd like a first and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand.
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 Be consistent.
Okay, the next one is maybe the same comments, Chester. There's a 5310 grant that's also time sensitive.
Yes, and the request board, approved the, FY18 5310 application. This one, actually, I misspoke earlier, this was the actual, grant that, came up after the June board meeting.
Yes.
So I misspoke before, the low grant was not the one, this is the one that came up, after.
So what's the date on this one?
It's due on the 15th.
June 15th.
So both of them are due in June.
Yes.
And this one is one that we haven't applied for before. We are working with the Georgia Department of Human Services. And so we've learned of additional funds that they have available for areas such as ours. And this particular grant is to benefit programs that serve seniors and people with disabilities. And so Aiden is the quarterback on this grant application. He's been in communications with the Georgia Department of Human Services. We've heard about this money and we've been calling them constantly. And after the last board meeting, they got back with us to announce that, yes, this money for FY 2019 is available. And submit your applications. That's what we're
And
looking
this is the 5310?
The
Yes.
5310. And this one wasn't a case where we waited till the last minute, this is one where we didn't learn about.
They waited till the last minute.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Well, they waited.
They waited
till
till the last minute.
Yeah.
But they tell us our chances for approval is pretty good. So, again,
Above 50%?
going after.
We might be
some-
the only ones in the Savannah urbanized area to apply for this money.
Cool.
And it's
Cool.
$225,000.
Okay, so we would like a first and second.
I'll go ahead, so, second.
All those in favor of submitting the application, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Tabitha, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Okay, Chester, on this next one, I understand you're wanting to take off the agenda. before we do that, I'd like to have a brief discussion on it, because this is an important point. I want to make sure that all the board members understand what's going on before we vote to take it off the agenda. Because I've only had a very short conversation, this short one with Ty last night, a confused one with Curtis, and your conversation this morning. So there are no secret meetings on this, or secret conversations.
That's not what I mean by secret meetings.
I just want to make sure before we take this off, that everybody understands what's going on with paratransit. And we agree as a board what we're doing, so if something goes wrong, we've done it together.
Right. When we left the table, when was that time?
Couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago.
But
Okay.
pardon me, I think it would be better if we gave a little background first as to how this all started.
Maybe let Michael give another presentation, a conversation from Cat's standpoint, life insurance. Well, this is hot off the press.
I can do it if you want to. I was intimately involved in what was going on, but Yellow Cab was our provider for paratransit, or part of our paratransit. They gave us less than 12 hours notice that they were going to cease doing that service because their insurer wouldn't insure them anymore. And we had, I think, a manifest for the next day of 120 people, 130 people maybe. 130 people that were not going to be covered, and a lot of those, I think at least 30 of those were for dialysis, and they had to get to those. So we had to do something, or Curtis and Mike had to do something in order to cover those people. So Mr. Ellis very graciously and grateful, we were grateful for it, facilitated a meeting with CRC, the Coastal Region Commission, to provide that service right away, and they assured us that they could do it by the next day, and so we signed an emergency agreement with them, CRC, to provide the service. Now, I was told the next day that CRC said they could not do it, they couldn't cover it. So we still had people who were going to be uncovered, or were not going to have their service. So CAT entered into an emergency agreement with, and it's a mouthful, Transition
TCS.
Commute Solutions, TCS, who happens to be the provider of operator for CRC. And
so the bigger partner.
So an emergency agreement was signed with TCS to cover so that people did not fail to make doctor's appointments and that sort of thing. So I suggested it be put on the agenda, A, to inform the board members that this had taken place, and B, to get you to ratify the agreement that was signed by Curtis, who, as CEO, had apparent authority to sign on behalf of CAT. So that's all it's seeking to do, is to ratify. And this has a sunset. This
June 30th.
This is only through June the 30th. In the meantime, there's training going on to hire additional people so that CAT can take it all in house.
So my only knowledge of this is talking to Curtis last night. And Chester, you probably know more about this than I do because you talked to CRC, but he said that they started initially with 2 units. And they tried to get it up to 6 or 8 or something, and I could never get the drivers in the vehicles. So that's where this came from. It was a solution to work around whatever's going on with CRC.
TCS was always going to be a partner in this whole thing with CRC. And the reason they were going to be a partner is because our insurance would not cover their drivers driving our equipment. Their insurance would not cover their drivers. See, so since CRC operators are hired by TCS, all right, the way through the insurance matrix was to go through them, all right, to get them. Now, what the folks at CRC is telling me is that now, we talked, that was a Thursday?
I don't remember.
Whatever day that we had the meeting, all right, and by Friday, they had 2 vans and drivers that they could put getting TCS involved in the insurance avenue so that folks not riding on an uninsured bus.
Right.
All right, because it had to be insured. So they had 2 right away that they had in place that Friday. And they were expecting us to give them more volume as to the transportation of folks getting to dialysis and everything else. Because we were talking, the number 18 was a part of, I mean, I know,
That
see,
particular day was 18.
and in hindsight, you should have been in on that meeting and you weren't there. See, but you should have been there because, and that's another point that I talked about later. See, we got to stop where just one person know what's going on. Because now Curtis goes out. Curtis was at the meeting, but now Curtis is not here. Mike wasn't at the meeting. Now Mike is trying to take up, so you're trying to do. And I'm saying, what they were expecting from us is that we talked about using 18 of their vehicles and drivers to cover our emergency that was put on us by. All right. So they're telling me now that the 2 that they gave us are making 1 run an hour. That's it. Just 1 run an hour, whether that's taking them, picking them up and carrying them back, or however you do. If they're doing 1 run per hour, and they were expecting somewhere between 4 to 5 runs an hour. See, so now they get 1 run an hour, and you can only go on what Curtis tells you they're supposed to be doing. They're expecting something else. I can only talk about what we said at that table and agreed to and signed to. And now I'm finding out that if Howard wouldn't have called me yesterday, I'm thinking that everything is working. That we got this whole thing, work out, and folks getting to dialysis and getting back home from dialysis before the oxygen tanks run out. I'm thinking, and then he called me last night and said it ain't working. And I'm saying, well, Curtis knows that nobody from CAT called me, nobody from CRC. So I called Alan. I said, Alan, what in the heck's going on? I thought we were solid with what's going on. He said, well, listen, Commissioner, we were going to get in this to help you because you all were saying this was your volume level. I'm running 2 drivers who only making 1 run per hour. And I'm saying, well, what happened to the rest of them? See?
With all due respect.
Listen,
I just want to show you.
Here's what I want to do now. And I'm saying it again. That's one reason I said make sure that those folks getting to dialysis and stuff on time. But we don't need to talk about you say, I say, we say, they said, Uncle Rima said, anybody else said. What we need to do is we need to call Alan and them and get them down here and let's sit back at the table so they can say what's going on with them, so we can say what's going on with us, so that we either can get folks where they need to be when they need to be in. All right, and as I said to you, the insurance has always been the part that we had. Nobody was certain as we sat to that table. Then how we gonna work out the insurance avenue? Then they said, okay, the way we can work out the insurance avenue is because all of CRC's drivers go through TCS. So therefore, TCS can cover those drivers for us, whatever. Now, so Mike cannot tell me what went on in that room that day because he doesn't know. Mike can tell me what Curtis is telling him he needs to do. You understand where I'm coming from? So I'm saying, let's get those folks back to the table. Let's find out where everything is so that we can cover these folks. And I understand it's not till what? June 30th?
June 30th.
See? But
only temporary.
But that's right. This thing always was supposed to be temporary. It's nothing that was sketched out forever. They were covering us at a point of time, and if my facts, Ty can straighten me out, the facts that were laid out on that table was that the cab company called at 4:45 and said, we ain't doing it no more. Folks were at dialysis waiting to go home, and they can't go home because these cabs weren't going to pick them up and say, oh, what we going to do now? So to understand that staff got in cars and anybody else who could drive went and got those folks.
Everybody was covered.
Everybody was, they got back, all right?
Made.
So, now, are we covered, especially like you said, what I was told, and you can straighten me out if it's wrong, but at the table, they said that Wednesday was our highest volume day. So everybody's covered today?
Everybody's covered.
What about tomorrow?
I don't know I don't know the schedule tomorrow. The schedule's evolving. They do the schedule. The calls come in up until
Who's they?
4 o'clock. The paratransit operation. The calls come. Reservations for the next day come in until 4 o'clock. So
Okay.
after that, then we know exactly. They're putting the schedule together, but they don't know the total schedule until after they start taking reservations.
Now, Mike, what you told me this morning was that CRC called you yesterday and said they only gave you
Right.
two, and you needed.
How many do we
So
normally have?
they were doing 6. They were giving us 6,
They
and they
gave
called
them
and said they were
6,
only
and I
going to
called
give us
and said
2
we're going to do
tomorrow,
2.
and that was after we were already putting the schedule together.
So how are we covered
Assuming we
if,
were going
if
to
you're saying 2, you need 6, how are we covered? I'm lost.
TCS.
And maybe I don't know the whole story, so.
This is just, I want to speak for Mike. What I got from Curtis yesterday is when they said we don't have 6 drivers and vans for you, we have 2. They went directly to TCS and hired the 6 people directly and put them into your existing vehicles or your rented vehicles for them.
Which was gonna happen anyway.
Yeah, but no, it was supposed to go from TCS
Right.
into a vehicle by CRC. My understanding of this is that, yes, CRC uses TCS for the drivers. And so they were always going to go to TCS and get the drivers into their equipment and
Right.
send them off with us. What I understand, and maybe I'm just listening to it wrong, is that when TSC has got the drivers, CRC doesn't always have the number of vans. So it's
CRC
also, it's two
provides
problems.
vans.
No,
So
they-
where did that
CRC
come
only
from?
provides the driver, is my understanding.
You just said that.
No, CRC, they provide driver and vehicle.
Okay, vehicles.
Okay, so they provide both.
Yeah.
They provide both.
TCS.
Now, TCS.
So, but they're only providing us 2.
They ended up sending, they ended up supposed to send 4 today, one called in 6, so we got 3.
How many are we supposed to have on a day-to-day basis? If we had through all the Yellow Cab or whoever we used to deal with, how many people would Yellow Cab provide on a day-to-day basis?
It varied, anywhere from.
The reason why I'm saying this is because I get phone calls on this stuff, man, and my thing is I'm not getting any communication from CAB, but I get phone calls on this stuff. So I need a POC right now. So when they call me, I can direct them to the POC. So I ain't getting those phone calls. That's number one.
They can come to me.
All right. So you gonna put so I'm gonna get your number so I can put it down so they can call you, because I can't deal with phone calls. I'm not supposed to talk to them one day, can't talk to them the next. I don't know what to do. I don't want to deal with it. That's number one. Number two, when they call me, they have a legit complaint because they're trying to get to a doctor or whatever they're going on. So we can't play this game of 2 or 6 drivers. I need a set number of drivers so we can move forward with paratransit.
Right.
Because we fund paratransit, and paratransit needs to be moving as smooth as possible. I understand it's a headache that you inherited, but I need paratransit where it's solid and it's moving. No questions around
And
it.
don't argue, and I don't think there's any difference in opinion at the table. Right?
And when you say covered, what do you mean by covered?
Well, come back to Wednesday as an example. So we needed 6.
We were counting
We
on.
needed 6 vans and drivers.
And drivers.
From CRC.
CRC, and they called and said that we can only send you 2. So we were manifesting to the 6. Otherwise, we were scheduling to the 6. So now we have 4 vehicles that don't have operators. We don't have the vehicle or the operator now.
So Chester, what can we do to make sure we covered, brother? That's what I care about, being covered. I care about that person getting that holler.
That's what TCS
If this contract goes through, then we're not going to have any phone calls. That's my point.
Hopefully.
I can't guarantee you're not going to get any.
Because I don't want to sign a contract and then they only providing 2 drivers after I sign the
The
contract.
contract's already signed.
Okay, I don't want to ratify, approve, or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to do that unless we're going to be covered.
Well, we certainly aren't going to be covered if TCS doesn't provide the operators.
That's
and
my
vans.
point.
So
is TCS the answer then? That's my question.
And I'm saying to
Right
you,
now,
TCS is providing you the drivers who they have subcontracted with. TCS is providing drivers and using CRC's equipment.
Yes, sir.
See, and for some reason, and I can understand if they gave us 2 vans and those 2 vans are not being utilized maximum. All right.
Yeah.
If they give us 6 vans and each one of those 6 vans are making 1 trip per hour.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, and
That's
in fact,
I'm still confused.
And what I did is, what I was trying
I'm
to
just
say
as
earlier,
confused as you, bro.
if I could just interject a minute, when you had mentioned earlier that CRC said that we're using vehicles 1 trip an hour, I asked operations to email me a manifest from CRC. And I have yesterday's manifest, just one from CRC. They have a pickup of 11:18, another one at 11:55, one at 12:07, 12:23, 12:35.
So how many vans and drivers are you talking about?
I'm just talking about
they got
one
pickup.
manifest.
One manifest is usually a driver.
Yeah, that's one
driver.
manifest is one driver,
One manifest is
vehicle.
tied to a driver.
One driver, one vehicle. This is CRC. So
Okay.
this, what I did is this kind of flies in the face of what they're telling you is what I'm trying to establish here.
And I'm saying it doesn't. Let me tell you why I'm saying it doesn't. Because you just quoted me 6 different times, right? That they've got a driver and a van. They got 6 different vans and drivers picking up 6 different stops,
No, sir.
carrying them to 6 different points. Those are not. For instance, I don't even think we ain't got no drivers.
This is one man.
We ain't got no equipment because we renting stuff and sending. So you know, it's like you trying to kick the can down the road and you don't have no feet to do it with.
No, he just said that's one.
Yeah,
driver.
look at it, make myself clear.
That's one driver?
This
One
is
driver.
one vehicle.
That's one vehicle from when?
Yesterday, from CRC.
All right.
One vehicle.
All right.
So I don't think I made myself clear. That's not 6 different vehicles. That's one vehicle from yesterday, from 6-5.
But we're-
And I can pull manifests from all the CRC vehicles, and they're all gonna look about the same.
Where I'm confused is CRC, I understand they're renting drivers from TCS. They have the vans or they don't?
CRC has vans,
Has
yes.
vans.
And
They have
CRC
their own
hires
vehicle.
the
They send
drivers
the vehicle
through
and the
TCS.
But then I just heard you said that TCS also has vans.
No.
So what are we
Didn't say
getting?
TCS has drivers only.
Yeah,
But what
that's
they-
not what you said the other,
Then
just a second ago.
then I must have, okay, maybe I misspoke. So this is what happened. CRC only were sending us 2 vans and 2 operators.
Correct.
Right.
I
When
got
TCS got involved, all of a sudden, TCS started sending us 6. So,
So that's 6 on top of the 2?
no, that's a total of 6, so 4 more. So this came through, once TCS got involved, all of a sudden CRC started sending us more.
6.
They said, instead of sending us 2, now they're sending us 6 total. So before TCS got involved, we weren't getting the full, we weren't getting what we thought we were getting, what we needed to help augment the service. Right.
My
Okay?
problem now is you're asking me to ratify a signature copy that was emergency, whatever the case may be. I want to make sure that we have enough drivers, vans to get our paratransit back where it needs to be, at least at 80%. Because
And-
right now it sounds like we ain't even at 50%.
This will do it because I talked to TCS yesterday. They're going to send us an additional 7 operators. Additional. That's addition to the 6, right? We're supposed to get every day, starting Monday. They have a class coming out, and that's just going to fill the gap until we get our class graduated. So that, yes, this will help.
And when will our class graduate?
It'll be in July. It'll be in July, yes.
July, early July? Because
Rational.
the only reason why I'm asking this question, not cut you off, Bill, but the reason why I'm asking the question is because this ends June the 30th. You can laugh all day.
No, but we
This
have-
ends June 30th.
But we can renew month to month.
I understand, but we have to renew it.
Yes.
We gotta approve it
They're
first,
not-
then renew it.
I'm not
We
going
have
to
to
sit here and
approve.
tell you that the class is going to be ready
That's my
early
point.
July.
So,
That's not going to
so,
happen.
so we already understand that if this ends June 30th, the class is July, we're going to have to make some kind of
Renew.
approval or renewal,
Yeah.
ratification, whatever you want to call it, soon.
It automatically
This one's in
renews.
effect.
It
So automatically renews?
It automatically.
Yeah, I see it.
renews.
I'm sorry.
So to come back to the, so we got next Monday, we got 6 plus 7.
That's 15. 6 plus 7 is 13.
Coming through directly from TCS or going through
I just don't want a
CRC?
phone call.
TCS is sending us the operators, and then the other 6 is coming through CRC.
Because they have the vehicles
Because,
that we also need.
because TCS don't have vehicles, no operators. They get them from CRC,
Or they get them from us?
or they get them from us.
Well, I think
Some
we're-
kind of how.
So
some kind of-
13. When are we talking? When are we expecting 13? 13. If we sign off, approve, whatever it is, when are we expecting 13?
Monday. I
Monday.
was on the phone with them yesterday.
All right, and then if anybody calls me, I'm gonna give you your number so you can deal with it. Cool.
They've been calling me already, so that's.
Well, I just think that you need to call CRC and get them here ASAP and iron this out before we vote on any of this stuff here to find out exactly what's going on, cause TCS covers CRC, so you're gonna wind up getting we're right back to the semantics of this whole thing. The buses and the drivers belong to CRC. I don't know how TCS was supposed to be the entity that covers the insurance part. That's what I told you last night. That's what I'm still hearing from CRC today. They cover the insurance part because our insurance will not cover CRC drivers.
I don't want our insurance.
Who? That's right. Who are making runs for us.
But what I'm hearing on top of that, though, is if we get all these drivers on Monday, CRC doesn't have enough vehicles to put the drivers in.
But how can they
Sounds
not
like
have
there's
the?
two different-
We'll have the vehicles.
You'll have vehicles.
We have the vehicles.
The ones you rented.
The ones we rented. And our own existing fleet.
Y'all please let Bill talk, 'cause Bill had his hand up.
Yeah, so let me just ask you, so does this contemplate our continuing to get 6 operators and vehicles from the CRC each day?
Does this?
I mean, is that what's happening now? Is the CRC giving us 6
Yes,
operators and
that's-
6 vehicles?
That's what they're supposed to be doing every day.
Okay, so the idea here is to hire an additional
Yes.
7 operators
Yes.
who will utilize buses or vehicles that belong to us.
Yes, that's correct.
And so we will have 13 operators and vehicles who will be able to respond to the paratransit difficulty.
Yes.
So this is really an overflow. Above what CRC can do.
Takes a lawyer to get all the contracting done.
And who's gonna keep this thing, to make sure it's operating okay, like you had the complaints, like Jay has.
Jay's getting and I'm getting.
You know, about, hey, I can't go, to see the doctor, or I can't, have
Get the
a
dialysis.
particular, type of treatment, whatever the case might be.
It comes through the complaint line and a paratransit manager and myself. We're the ones.
So we are still keeping with the complaint line.
Yeah.
We still making sure we keep the complaint line
Absolutely.
down.
So we can document.
Another question of all this, I'm sorry, Bill. Do the paratransit riders, Jay, because you're apparently getting social media questions and
Yes.
calls, do they all understand the difficulty with yellow cab?
They know it better. They teaching me
So
about it. They teaching me about it. I'm
Okay,
one
so
of them. They teach me.
But they know what's happened. They know the yellow
They
cab
teach
is
me.
walking.
They tell me what's going on.
No, it was just a question.
Yes, sir.
Do we
But-
need
but the thing is-
Tricia to put something out?
I think we still need to put something out, but I guess
But you-
because
but
they
you
have a
think-
relationship with Yellow Cab, because they've been dealing with it so long, that they come back and give me the feedback of what's going on with
Okay,
Yellow
I just
Cab.
wanted to make sure the riders seem to know what's going on and the struggle with this.
But the problem, and I'm glad you said that, because they're misconstruing it. Yellow Cab is misconstruing it. It's our fault. And so a message should go out there where it's saying that it's not our fault. It's an inconvenience piece, and I think I agree with you. That should go out.
Yeah, I think we need to.
It's still not gonna stop them from
It's
calling
not
you
gonna
and
stop
Chester.
it. It's not gonna stop people from calling, but
You
it
can tell
gives
them
a
all
statement
day to
from
call.
Cat.
Yeah, I just want to know if
Always
everybody
into-
knows what's really happening with this.
Because I don't wanna have
The
an individual
message
say
on the
everybody.
phones, you know, like on, you know, when people call in, the call waiting, you know, like we did that soon as this emergency happened. And then, Mike's staff and paratransit too, we worked on some talking points for the reps, and we were supposed to be doing some letters to go out to customers regarding the situation. So that's what we've done today.
Okay, Pete, I interrupted Bill first, so you're second.
Yeah, so what I understand here is that the purpose of what we're going to, you know, theoretically, if we approve today, is simply to approve retroactively the contract that we have with TCS, so that they'll be able to provide us the 7 operators that they are indicating. things will remain the same with the CRC.
Yes.
We will still get 6 operators and 6 vehicles, but this will allow us to continue or to anticipate and receive the 7 operators from TCS.
Correct.
Okay.
Except we do need to talk to CRC to straighten out this misconception of the number of runs we're putting on the buses.
Would CRC be able to give us additional operators and buses, or do we?
CRC?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think they've given us everything that they
Okay.
Bill,
have.
So they're
Bill-
maxed out.
Spare.
Bill, and I'm gonna piggyback on what Bill said and say it like this. Can we look at the numbers last year? What we were giving out as far as paratransit last year, so we can make sure that number of drivers matches this year with maybe a 2-3%, one extra driver or whatever.
We've looked at that.
All right.
We've looked at that. That's
That
how
would
we
be
came
the
up
way
with
I
the
would
numbers.
And that's what you need.
That's what we came. That's how we came
So
up.
that's
with
how
the
you came
numbers
up with the 13.
With the 13, yeah.
I got
And
you.
and we were looking at what we were giving to Yellow Cab as well. That's
Well,
where
in
that number
the
comes from.
meeting, and Ty can verify, because he was in that meeting, they said 18, right? We were dealing with a number
The
like
number we
18.
discussed
That we were
was
dealing
18.
with was 18, now I hear it was 13 from you.
Well, that's-
See?
yeah.
That adds to my
That was
confusion.
on that particular day.
Right, it changed from
Right.
day, it does
Yeah.
change from day to day because of the number of trips
Wow.
per
Right.
day does change.
This is who needs to know.
Well,
They say
I'm gonna tell you
all-
exact, oh, I'm sorry, that's right, Pete, go ahead.
Who keeps the daily records on all of the calls that we get for those people that need the service?
The call center.
The call center does?
Paratransit.
And what do they do with that information?
I almost got hit.
Do they give it to you or who?
Are you talking about the complaints?
In other words, somebody calls in and they need that service. And it goes to the call center.
Right.
And when does that call center send it and to who?
Well, the dispatcher is right there in the call center now, so the customer service advocates can actually take trips on the phone as they call. So they can schedule the trips right away. We didn't have that before. And the dispatcher is right in the same area, so everything is done in the same area. It's not the same room, it's a separate room. Dispatcher's there, the call center is here. So when the calls come in, the schedules are made correctly, and the dispatcher, if it needs to go to the dispatcher, it goes right away to the dispatch, which is all in the same area. That's a change that we made recently.
So Monday, 13, driver and vehicle.
Well,
So Ty-
the other thing is, the dispatcher's going to send them there, but do we need 13 or do we need more than 13 for this particular service, the vehicles and all?
13 will help us tremendously. If we can get 18, that's even better.
So do we
You,
how much we
does
budget?
the record show that that we have that much of call for the service?
It does. The service has been increasing steadily. We average 450 trips a day. On Wednesdays, it's 500.
You say 450 trips a day? What's the time frame?
Time frame from 4:30 in the morning until 1 a.m. The same as the fixed route bus schedule. It has to run the same time.
Okay.
So, Ty, some legal advice then. So Curtis has signed an emergency order.
Yes.
So we're working today using them to get the extra drivers we need.
Right.
Do we need to ratify this until we sit
Well,
down and talk with?
well, since it's on the agenda, and this is a public meeting, I would think the TCS would be reluctant to provide the service. If they learned from this public meeting that this board has refused to ratify the contract, they could walk off the job this afternoon.
Isn't that what the cab?
Well, we done seen that before, so that ain't, I mean, is there any other entities out there if that happened?
I don't think there are any other sources.
We've looked at every possible.
Because someone for
So
Monday.
should we, Chester, I mean, do you have a problem ratifying this?
Yeah, I've got a complete problem. Whenever I got conflicting views, and the folks who sat at the table are not here to tell us what's going on, I'm not voting to ratify this stuff. I'm voting it down.
Has CRC objected to our dealing with TCS?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, because
They part of they tried to go out there.
I'm taking both.
the drivers that TCS gonna send you are the drivers that CRC been using. All right, they're the drivers who are contracted with CRC, and the TCS is the one that that operate the whole stuff from them. But again, I'm telling you, I'm getting two different things, and I can't get Alan on the phone, because that's what I've been trying to do. So all of you can agree to do this, but I'm not agreeing to do it, because I think that until we get folks sitting at the table, we can't iron this out. There's stuff that was said at the meeting that Mike was not to, that he's not privy to, and I'm saying again, it's just like for since I've been on this board, you were telling me there was no contract, then there was no contract, and all of a sudden these people show up with a contract with all these names from the folks right here at CAT and all the folks down there from TRS who signed the thing, and then we say, oh, we didn't get a copy of that. But you signed it. But your name is here in blue just like this, and it's dated. And it's in blue ink just like this.
So Ty, this is not ratified. If this is not ratified, what happens to this contract?
Well, Curtis had apparent authority as CEO to sign the contract.
Correct.
And so the contract is in effect.
Correct.
But now, if this board refuses to ratify the contract, then I would say the contract is
becomes null and void.
Null and void, and they could walk off, and you could have people who don't.
And I don't think we want to risk that with paratransit.
Do we have another meeting this month?
Yes.
We can't table this until that meeting, because the contract still stays in standing form, and we can have our discussion at the next meeting. Can we table it to the next meeting?
You can do that at the risk that TCS will stop providing the service.
Why would they stop providing the service? They got a contract through the 30th.
Not if you refuse to ratify it.
But aren't they operating the contract now?
They are.
But
what I'm saying is, this is a public meeting. If they learn that this board refused to ratify the contract, they may say, well, we don't have a contract.
But we might get paid.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, that they won't get paid.
One more question from Robert.
It's not a question of motioning that we have ratified this contract so we don't run out of people on Monday.
Do we have a second?
And I'm gonna second it based upon, I just don't think we have the luxury of waiting on this thing.
Okay, I'm going to,
like how we always like to shut things down.
I'm going to vote that we ratify the contract.
Things will change.
Things will change, but we ratify the contract. We can always cancel later. We can always.
We only ratify it to the 30th, correct?
Ratify until the 30th as an overflow situation.
I'm asking time. Is it being ratified to the 30th, correct?
Well, it automatically renews.
I'm not saying.
There's a 15-day notice to not to renew.
And we could always, at the next time we're together, we could indeed instruct.
Yes.
Now that has to be by June 15th to cancel it for July.
Right.
And we already know we're gonna be short.
And we're gonna have to talk about this again at the next meeting
Yes.
together.
We know that.
And
Well,
everybody
July, 'cause we're
on the
gonna apply
board,
Congress.
that have questions, I think it's really important. For example, you just said, was it 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. that they?
4:30 a.m. to 1 a.m.
4:30 to 1.
4:30 a.m. Okay, how many people do we have 4:30 a.m. and where do they come from and where do they go?
So we just have to run the service. It has to mirror the fixed route service. We may not have not a lot of people scheduled at 4:30 for paratransit, but we still have to have the service available. That's the law.
That's
We're
by law.
required
That's
to
by
do
law.
that.
We're required to do
Yeah.
that.
You have to.
And we don't have a lot of, go ahead, Tyler.
You have to provide offer and provide the paratransit service the same hours that you offer the fixed route.
I'm
Same
gonna say we're gonna have to have a whole lot more information on this stuff at the next meeting. A whole lot more information on this stuff at the next meeting.
I totally agree with you, and we need to set this meeting up again with CRC and see what's really going on with it. I just don't want to risk not having drivers to get people where they need to go.
They think they're under contract to the 30th, but I'm not even gonna see them discuss it.
Okay, so all in favor of ratifying this short-term basis and overflow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah.
So we've ratified it.
All those opposed?
All those opposed?
Have to do the whole staff the same way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then I think this meeting has gone on longer than anybody thought that it would.
Okay.
So let's adjourn.
Well, you're gonna discuss, we're gonna go to old business, I need to ask a question.
Todd, we go to old business?
Well, that's next on the agenda.
Okay,
yeah.
old business.
It's
And
on
new
the
business.
agenda, says old
Okay,
business.
old business.
I wanna know, when are we gonna have those, we have 3 meetings that we go to, it's broken down in meetings, you know, like
Committee meetings.
financial and what have you. When is the next meetings gonna be for
Okay.
that group?
Then we'll keep the conversation going a little bit. The meeting that we canceled last week, or yesterday actually,
Correct.
in my mind, we have 2 choices. One would be June 19th. That's the board meeting scheduled, but the staff would like to move the board meeting to June 26th. Or we can skip June 19th and have it July 10th, the committee meeting.
We didn't schedule July yet. We haven't scheduled
July,
next
there's
year.
nothing scheduled in July.
Okay.
Yeah, because we only did it 6
We're
months.
So we can either not have a committee meeting this month, or we could do it the 19th, but then we have to move the board meeting back to the 4th Tuesday, which it usually is anyway.
Well, I think we ought to have it, you know, the sooner, the better, because, things might come up at those meetings that, we have to know about. Because what Chester's saying, you know, we don't get certain information, and others here is, you know, just to move on.
Okay, so let's, I guess we should vote. Do we want to have a committee meeting June 19th and move the board meeting to June 26th?
I'll make a motion.
Well,
Second.
Now, let me ask a question before we do all that though. Now, if you're moving this stuff to the 19th, what time of the day are we talking about on the 19th? Because if you're talking about 10 o'clock, that's a waste of my time because
No, yours is 2:30 like mine.
It's 2:30?
Yeah,
Are
mine
we
is-
talking about in
mine
the
is-
evening?
No,
In the
the
afternoon?
normal committee time.
Mine is 10
Okay.
o'clock.
The committee times.
Okay.
Finance-
so-
Finance is 10, and so on and so forth.
On the
Regular
19th?
committees.
On the 19th.
And now, when have we scheduled a new committee that you came up with? Since I asked so many questions about policies and procedures, when does that
On the
committee meet?
same day.
Same take after 2:30? Oh, okay. Well, I'm fine then if it's 2:30. If you come up in the morning time, I won't be
No,
available.
it's the normal committee time.
Finance
Yeah.
is in the morning.
Okay.
And
Well, I don't have to be at
How much
finance.
time do we give them tonight? Because I can't be here. How long is each committee? Because I have
Typically-
something at
typically
4 o'clock.
Committee's an hour, but I think for your committee, you can probably combine the two. Because it's gonna be your first policy meeting, you're gonna have to get yourself.
I would rather start that in July, to be honest with you. We got too many things in the fire right now.
We can vote.
What, the new committee?
The policies, I mean, we
Yeah,
went through
we
the
can
whole.
wait till July. I'm gonna let you, we can wait till
Yeah, we
July.
went through the whole book and we only had like 2 things to change.
Okay,
And I
so
think
why don't
that
we,
was fine.
let's vote then the committee meeting is June 19th.
19th, yeah.
And
Regular
then
board
board
on the-
meeting, June 26th,
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
That's the regular
So
time.
And we can also agree then if we want to schedule committee meetings July 10th, which would be the second Tuesday of the following month.
Wait a minute. July?
July 10th? So June,
July 10th would work.
June 19th, July 10th for committee meetings,
Mm-hmm.
And the 26th. the regular
26th for board meeting.
It's all committee meetings, sir.
Yes.
Now, when are we gonna set the agenda for the board meeting from those 3 committees? Because that would
When's
be
the
in
executive?
between one.
That's the,
I'm just asking.
let's vote on this first, and I want to come
Okay.
back to the,
Executive.
we agree on these dates for the committee meeting and board meetings.
So the 19th and the 26th.
19th?
I would set July's board meeting as well.
Yeah, that way we,
So
yeah,
that-
because we
those
don't have a
dates have
calendar.
not been set yet.
Yeah.
We only went through the end of.
July 24th.
And that's back to the 4th.
Back to the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's really sure why this was set up for the 3rd.
I don't know
The 3rd,
either.
we're not, nobody can remember why.
Maybe because it was too close to the end of the month and the
So
financial
do we
year and
agree on
everything.
these dates?
those 4 dates, yes.
Okay.
So,
That'll be
I
my
got
motion.
June 19th, June 26th,
July 10th
July 10th,
and July 24th.
and July 24th.
Okay, so we agree.
We good?
Yes.
Now, the next question that came up was the executive committee.
Are we gonna vote to this?
You can't set the agenda after you have the committee meeting, right?
Okay, but remember when we set up the executive committee, I was very worried about people not being totally on board with it. And I was worried that the people who were not in the executive committee would worry that 3 people were making decisions for the board. And we had one executive committee, and as I was worried, those questions came up. We had some pushback.
So we wanna absorb.
So I just want to make sure that everybody here wants to go forward with the executive committee concept.
Which is strictly to set the agenda for the
Exactly.
week, okay.
But we had a board meeting, and it came out that somebody was unhappy because 3 people made a decision, which wasn't quite accurate. But I don't want to have these executive committees with this kind of worry from the board as a whole that 3 people are making decisions.
So can you spell out the executive committee then? Maybe that's.
The executive committee was the chair of the 3 committees, which was Jay, the doctor, and Bill Durrance.
Right. And yourself.
And myself.
All right. So when you come up with the new committee, that puts the chair there. That makes the 5. The problem we were talking about is that you had brought Bill.
We brought Bill in, but we have to
As the vice
deal with
president.
Bill as a separate issue because he's going to roll off the board soon. I don't know where the city is with this process.
We're waiting.
I
mean, not that I savor my departure, but I'm awaiting word from the city.
Here's where the dilemma is. You get 5 of us in an executive board meeting. That's got to be
public knowledge now.
It was.
See,
First meeting we did.
It's all right to have an executive meeting in the public to run.
Say that again?
You got 5 board members,
Right.
which constitute a
Quorum.
A quorum.
Yes.
So if the executive board is meeting and there are 5, we've got to advertise it and everything else.
Right.
My quorum to it was, and maybe this is where he's going. My quorum to it is, if you have 5 people in that meeting, then you essentially can set the agenda and effectively the very next week have a rollover where you have 5 people vote to approve everything the very next week. And I like the 4 model. It's not that I don't like St. Bill, but I like the 4 model because the 4 model didn't require us to have to do the public thing, and it kept us in line.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead.
Let's go ahead
what
and,
you
is
that what
said
you're trying to say, Chester? I didn't
do
understand.
some voting and then set it up where you could get the the approval of as many as possible.
Okay, so let's vote on 2 separate things then. So we're going to vote on the schedule for the meetings we just
June
agreed on.
19th, June 26th, July 10th, July 24th.
Right.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor,
I
raise
have
their
a
hands.
question. I have a question
You
before
got
I
a
get
question?
there.
Okay.
If you're gonna have those committee meetings on the 19th, what are we gonna do if we're not setting the agenda for the next board meeting? Why are we meeting?
Because we have a lot to talk about. I mean,
In reference to
Committee
what?
the regular committees are not setting the agenda.
Right.
That's the executive committee.
Yeah, but if that's not gonna happen before the board meeting, then why are we meeting now and why not just postpone it all of July?
Well, I think today's conversation is one reason why we have to meet. I mean, paratransit is a very fluid situation. We're coming to the end of our fiscal year. We need to probably drill down with Terry a little bit on where we're actually going to end up. We've got ridership we haven't looked at. We've got Jared Walker. We don't know what his schedule is. I mean, there's a lot of things.
I think we do.
We need to have the staff update us on. And that's what I think we miss at these committee meetings.
Yeah.
Is we don't pick up on what's happening. So I think the committee.
That's fine, let's leave it as is.
Then we need to move forward.
So can we vote? Okay, so with those dates, we'll send out an update.
Cool. And the second one is.
Second one is, can we restart the executive committee concept? And we'll set it for the 3 department heads plus the chairman.
I mean, 4.
So 4.
You mean the 3 committee heads?
3
committee
committee
heads.
heads.
Committees.
4.
4 committees.
3 chairmen, 3 committee heads, plus the chairman is 4.
Then we have 4 committees
We
now.
started a new committee, remember?
Nah, I thought we said we were going to roll
I thought we were
it.
gonna
Do
roll
2
it.
into 1?
Yeah,
Oh, that's fine.
yeah, since we're all here.
So long as we get it done.
Yeah.
So y'all rolling the 2 into 1.
The policy committee will meet, since we on the
In
policy
operation.
committee and we,
Right.
so we.
It's the same committee.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so in July, we'll start the executive committee.
Yeah,
Which will be the 10th.
yeah.
It'll be the next week after the 10th.
So it'll be the 17th, I apologize.
Yes.
The 17th, and it's gonna be in the evening, 2 o'clock, or that's morning. What time?
I like the morning personally. Versus 2 o'clock, but I can do either.
No, whatever we set, we need to stick with, because I have to put a whole lot of other stuff on my calendar. See, and once I put it there, it can stay there.
10 o'clock?
If it's
10
morning, I
o'clock is
won't be
fine.
there, I can tell you
Well,
that.
we've already done that.
What time?
But don't let me
No,
be the
no.
holdup.
No, no, listen,
It'd be-
it's gotta be a time where we all can get there.
With the 4.
Cause there's
Reason
no
why I'm
need
saying
in
is-
having it and we can't get there.
Yeah, but don't, I think we need to have the meetings, but I don't want to be the person who's stopping us from having
Is
them.
it better for the afternoon for you or the morning?
I'll be coming home from Nashville, that's,
I'll be doing the same
NACO,
thing.
NACO's that same week.
I'll be doing the same thing.
So,
Yeah, but you're not on
but
that.
you're
executive
not,
committee.
I am.
It's Jay, myself.
Okay, well, I think.
You'll have to be the
we'll
evening
have
this
to-
week.
we'll
If
have
you
to-
come, that's fine, we can't have it.
If it's evening, then I'll call Janice to make sure my flight is at.
And that's why y'all, again, that's why y'all missing the point. The point is you appointed me the chairman or whatever you call, of a committee. So therefore, when you have executive committee, I should be there just like the others. You're gonna have 5.
Yeah, but we combined the 2 committees and I'm the chairman of the operation one. So that
And I'm the
includes
chairman of the
policy.
other one. So why should operation come and I don't come?
We're doing both.
Policies and procedure don't come.
We're doing both.
But you're not chairman of both.
We did, the committee has to,
Call the question.
Okay, let's,
then you chair both and I won't have to come.
there you go. So let's,
I don't care if I don't
However
come.
y'all wanna do.
let's agree that we're going to have monthly executive committee
Executive
meetings
on
on
the
the
third
third
Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday of each month at 10 o'clock
With the 4, correct.
Yes.
At
at the bus
On
barn.
Winter Street.
Do we
So
agree?
moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Ah,
Okay.
Where's the gym?
Yeah. Good luck and
No
money.
tonic.
Okay, then,
Was there new
thanks
business?
for coming. I'm sorry this got as long as it did.
That's what got us in
Should
trouble.
we have new business? That was it? We're done?
So,
Do we have any
I'll
new
hold-
business?
I'll hold my business.
meetings adjourned.
Well, since it's been so long, I'll just hold my old and new business that I thought we should cover, but, I think we ought to have, Patricia be ready to give us an update and a status report of where we are as far as the strategic plan is concerned.
It was on our agenda for yesterday. We didn't make it. Okay.
So she needs to be ready at our next meeting.
And they
Give
need
us
to
an
be- and they need
update
to
on
be
where
ready
we
to-
are and where we're
Vote
going.
on that too, sir.
So,
I don't think we.
We've never really voted on it. We need to vote on that, and we also need an update at the
Vote
board
on
meeting.
what? What are we voting on?
Strategic plan.
We discussed it, but we didn't actually.
Yeah, we never,
discussed.
we
It's
never,
never
we
been
never,
officially
we never voted on it.
adopted.
and that's why, in fact, some of y'all get upset, but that's why last time I was in meeting, I asked Pat to, and I hope you don't
Patricia,
mind me
please.
calling you Patricia?
Yes, sir.
All right, I asked Patricia about the strategic plan, and Terry started asking, and I told Terry, hush, because I wasn't asking her, I was asking the person who was in
I was
charge of
thinking
it.
you were asking about the TAM.
No,
No, the
No.
vehicle assessment plan.
no. When I ask a question, I ask specifically to who I'm asking for, and I want that person to answer my question,
Okay.
because that comes under their jurisdiction. I don't want no one person tell me all.
Any other new business? Can we
I'm
adjourn?
going
adjourn.
We adjourn.
I ain't going home, I can go to my next meeting.
I motion we adjourn.
All right. All
Whether
those
you
in favor?
motion or not, we out. Pete, I'm a tough wrestler to get along with.
What's it, brother?
So Mike, you should have enjoyed this meeting. with insurance, this is right up here.
I'm starving, man. You taking me to lunch? Taking me to lunch? You only got one more meeting.
I was gonna ask you about
Well, that's why our research, after the we got some information from Gillick.
Do a celebration for you.
We convened an internal meeting to kind of compare the